let's go on to more fun content.
We have
Let's
one more
talk about
story.
Seth Rogen and Joe Rogan and sexual misconduct.
Wait, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. I always do that. I always call Seth Rogen Joe Rogan.
All right, so our last story is in entertainment. Seth Rogen and James Franco. So James Franco and Seth Rogen, you guys might know them from movies such as Pineapple Express, This Is the End. I don't know if James Franco was in Knocked Up. I don't think so. No, I don't think
he was actually. He was but he was played himself because he was interviewed by the Knocked Up one.
Yeah, Captain Heigl, yeah.
Yeah, because remember he was the one. If this is one of those joke shows, I'm not into it.
Yeah. And they're in the interview together, which I actually like the interview.
They did Freaks and Geeks. Actually,
Freaks and Geeks, yes, when they're like 17 or younger. Anyway, so they've been friends. They've acted a lot together. But what's in the news this week is that Seth Rogen has basically said that they're not going to work together anymore. I think he might have said for the foreseeable future, but I've seen other articles saying that ever. But also, I know that it's also been suggested that their friendship is also on rocky ground because of this. Now, this is all stemming from allegations against James Franco that have resurfaced of him being a bit. I almost said a bit of a predator. Apparently, a lot of a predator around Hollywood. And one other thing I've heard is that it's not even just like he does it to just girls. Apparently, he does it to girls and guys. Like he's all around. He's a bit of a sexual predator.
Oh, really?
But yeah, that's what I heard when listening about this story as well. And I guess it's gotten to the point where Seth Rogen felt like he had to speak out about it. I do wonder if Seth Rogen had already made the determination that he wasn't going to work with James Franco anymore, and he just chose not to make it a public statement, or if he made this decision because of oh goodness, I don't remember her name, but
Charlene Yee.
Okay, yeah. So if he made that decision because she came out and made these comments.
I think what it is, it's more along the lines of he was chin checked, and I
explain what chin check means.
I really don't know the actual definition. I just know that people call it chin check. But I think it's whenever you guys are when you're fighting.
Okay.
You lift up your chin, or is it your chin? I think it's your chin. Anyways, it's like, think of when you're fighting, if you get hit in the chin, you're checking the chin,
so
you're checking how tough it is.
Who chin checked him?
Oh, Charlene Yee.
Okay.
So this is what I think it is. What I think is, and I'm over here looking at the Urban Dictionary.
Chin checked?
Yeah. It's a swift jab to the cheek, to check how tough you are, right?
Okay, so a cheek check.
No.
Oh, chin check.
Chin. Right?
But it's a swift jab to the cheek.
Okay, then the chin. Damn it.
Okay, so a swift jab to the chin.
Yeah, to check them, to check how tough you are, to check,
This is 1 and 3 all over again.
Like, hey, you're talking a bunch of I pop you, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, you know what? I apologize, Mr. Man.
Okay.
It's just she called him out. And it ended up being one of those situations where she called him out because she said, but see, she's not coming 100% really that. I mean, I guess you can, right? So,
okay, what did she say since you?
So she said something about Seth Rogen that she found it, that he was enabling James Franco.
Okay.
While they were on The Disaster Artist, right? But the thing is, though, she tried to quit the film among the allegations that James Franco was getting, but James Franco instead he gave her a bigger role. So she was like, she felt it was like a bribe. So and then what the big thing that James Franco that Seth Rogen was called out for was basically, how are you still basically working with this dude, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that this kind of stuff happens, which I think that's actually okay. That is a good thing, right? I mean, like, you got to keep people honest. Like, if my friend did something, bad, I might not know about it. Okay, say my friend is accused of something one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have his back because I'm like, it's still my boy.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's accused twice, I'm like, all right. Right now it's a conspiracy. I still got your back. Third time, I'm like, all right, look, I'm starting to feel a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
starting to feel a little bit.
you're almost kind of guilty by association at that point.
Yeah,
And
because at the same time, it's like you got like my question is, do you think James? Do you think Seth ever asked James like, hey, is this stuff true?
I mean, okay, I think I want to answer that with a question. If you had heard something, through the grapevine about a friend of yours, would you ask someone that you're close with? Would you be like, hey, dude, did you do this thing? Or would you just like let it gloss over and let them tell you?
Right.
Like one time, would you ask? That's it's a question to you.
Oh, repeat it one more time.
Okay, the question is, if your friend got an allegation like that, like what James Franco got, would you
Oh yeah,
ask? You'd be like, yo, did you do this?
yeah. I'd be like, yo, what the? I was like, yo, it's messed up that this is happening, but I gotta ask you,
Hmm. Okay.
did you? You're still my
Yeah.
friend, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You're still my friend, but I need to know. And then once you tell me this, I'll be like, but after a while, it's gonna be like, I don't feel comfortable with you being around my family. You being around my wife, you being around my kids. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like you already called out one time by a 17-year-old, and it was proven true that you were trying to holler at her.
Hmm.
You know, and it was legal because it was in New York, and 17 is legal in New York. I think 16 you could be Georgia. You could be you
That's
could
messed
get
up.
with I know but it's legal.
Yeah.
We could get with a 16-year-old. We're not going to, but you could go with a 16-year-old. Have to point that out. Not gonna
Oh my
happen.
goodness.
I'm just giving you guys context.
Please
But
don't cancel us.
but you can get involved with a 16-year-old and it's legal. Because I remember one time here in Georgia there was a teacher who got involved with one of the students. It was a guy teacher,
Yeah.
and the judge like, I can't sentence you. What you did is disgusting, but I can't sentence you to jail because it's not illegal.
Was it Marietta High? Because that kind
Huh?
of happened. I said, was it Marietta High?
I think was it a white teacher in Marietta High?
It was
Was it
a
a white
white teacher.
girl?
Yeah.
White guy, white girl?
I think it was a white girl. Yeah. I
Were
think
you
so.
there in Marietta High?
I was in Marietta High. Yeah. I think it was, I'm not going to go too much into it, but I think she was a grade above me, maybe. Anyway.
So anyways, yeah. Look, so when your science teacher did that, right? Like, it's it's like he's like, look, it's not illegal. It's like, it's disgusting. Same thing with James Franco. They're like, it's not illegal that he was trying to holler at 17, but he was trying to holler at a 17-year-old when he was already in his
Yeah.
mid-30s, early
Yeah.
30s.
Yeah. I don't even think it's a point of illegality. It's just not cool. Like it's a creepy
Ethics.
thing. Yeah.
It's a just because it's legal doesn't mean it's ethical.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if that happened to your friend, you'd be like, "Yo, did you actually do this?" All right, maybe Seth Rogen's not that confrontational. Or maybe he did in fact ask, and James was like, "Yeah, but it's legal," and
Or
Seth
I'm
just looked the
sorry,
other
but
way
maybe he didn't feel it was his business.
because, well, yeah, maybe, but I mean, but if you're close friends with someone, you
I mean,
gotta
yeah, I
know.
get that, but
Well, no,
at the
but you
same
got to
time,
know that you got to know that it's also going to be a reflection on you, especially if it's something that happens many times over. I say many times. I don't know how many times it happened, but I think there is a level of responsibility, especially when you are in a position to give someone,
you're in a position of power.
yeah, you're in a position to give someone jobs and all that stuff. You you have to know that when you give someone a job, knowing that they come with this baggage, that's an implicit um, condoning of what he's done, or implicit condoning of the baggage. Whether it's forgiveness or not even thinking it's wrong at all.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, I do believe that yes, Seth Rogen does have some responsibility in enabling his actions because honestly, if you're someone that gets accused of these things, but people still give you jobs, your livelihood isn't affected in any tangible way, then you're not thinking that there's anything wrong with what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because you're still thriving. It's when you stop thriving, and it's when things are going bad that you realize, oh, maybe there's something wrong with this. Honestly, as a normal person, you should know there's something wrong with it. But really, it's when things start going wrong, they're like, okay, maybe I need to change my ways. And that's why I think the allegations of being enabled by Seth Rogen, I think those are valid. I have heard something else though that I'm like a little less willing to just believe, and that's that maybe Seth Rogen himself also partook in similar things that James Franco did,
I
which
mean,
is
look,
why he didn't.
if that were the case, if that's the case, the Me Too movement has proven that, you know what, eventually
It'll come out.
everything comes out the wash,
Mm.
right? So if that's the case, okay, he tries to apologize. It's not going to stop it from coming out if it's true.
Yeah.
So I mean, so I'm gonna choose to not believe that right now. I'm not gonna look. You can't automatically also like we can't you can't be canceling people because of who they're friends with.
Yeah.
It's just what's the actions that they take after that. And he said it. I don't see myself working with him at any time in the future. And it's it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen at this moment because he knows that the ramifications of that are bad. And then also he probably feels socially bad about it himself because he says that there's a joke that he made that was kind of like, making fun of James Franco's predatory ways. Because it was always one of those things. Look, some people
Okay, I'm sorry. It's a crass joke, because it does kind of like lessen it, but the joke is actually pretty funny. The delivery of the joke. So it basically, he was saying that I pranked James Franco by telling him I was a 17-year-old and oh, sorry, I pranked James Franco by calling him and acting like a 17-year-old. Anyway, now I have a date with him on Saturday. Yeah. Yeah.
Because they were making fun of that but he said he's like, I regret that joke, which I'm just like at the same time I'm like, look, if a joke is funny, a joke is funny. I'm of an opinion of if the joke, listen, a joke will be canceled within itself because if the joke is not funny, people won't laugh. So anyways, if the joke is funny, the joke is funny, right? I mean, but it's just a morbid joke. Sometimes those happens. They might have their
dark humor.
Dark humor, exactly. Yeah. But with that being said, I don't think that if he's trying to make amends for what his friends did, you got to give him a little bit more leeway than it would be if it's for his friend. Like, don't give his friend at all any leeway. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. But you got to give this guy like, yo, dude, I just knew, like, me and the dude made a lot of fart jokes and stuff, and that's how we gained a friendship. I didn't know that he was over here starting a school and and making the girls audition in sex scenes and then supposedly
and honestly, even if all those things that are coming out about those allegations, those are like pretty gruesome. But honestly, I think another part of it is to understand not everyone has the courage to speak out about things, right? A lot of people, for the longest time and still today, believe that as long as I'm not doing these things, I'm fine. It goes to whether you're speaking out about racism that you see, whether you're speaking out when you see someone murdering someone else, or whatever.
The Penn State thing. One of the guys says that the way he described it, he saw Jerry
Sandusky, yeah.
Basically, he saw him raping a kid, and he didn't speak up. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he was messed up for not speaking wrong. And he's gonna he should, and I hope he deals with that guilt for the rest of his life. But some people don't feel like it's their place to talk.
A lot of people, they're like, look, man, like I'm just gonna look the other way. No stuff. I'm not saying it's right, but for the longest time, that's how a lot of people have acted. If those people feel remorse, whether it's because they were called out or whether it's because of a natural feeling of remorse. If they feel remorse and they want to be better, let them be better. We can't always be like, oh no, you did this thing wrong, now you're gone forever, right? Because no one ever betters themselves when you don't allow them to better themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I brought this up on one of our previous podcasts about how people always assume that everybody in the 60s was a civil rights icon.
Yeah.
You know, but no, it was a few key people that were up there speaking out against injustices. A lot of people, even though they might have experienced the injustice themselves, didn't want to get involved. They didn't, it was too much to bring that upon themselves. A lot of white people who weren't perpetrating the racism, they weren't the ones lynching people, they weren't the ones doing the bad things, but they also didn't want to speak out about it because now it's like, oh, look at you're a liberal or a whatever, a hippie, blah blah blah, you know. So yeah, not a lot of people have the courage to do what's right all the time. But if someone finds that courage, I think it's up to us to elevate that person and be like, all right, look, do better, to do the right thing now that you know. Don't fall into that trap again. Because otherwise, if all we do is ever beat down people, people wouldn't come forward with the truth ever.
Yeah, and you know what? I would say one thing about another thing to add to that kind of if Seth Rogen not speaking up gets him, I wouldn't say canceled, but gets him so much negative backlash.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you understand. It should help you understand why victims themselves don't come forward.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, this person had nothing to do with that, or at least had nothing to do with that, but he's being called an enabler. It's just like, it's hard. The harshest judge, jury, and executioner is the public.
Yeah, I do want to say, I do agree with the terminology enabler in this case, especially if he knew the stuff, because these things are going and he kept giving him jobs, basically telling them with fewer words that this stuff you're doing, it's okay because you still have your career. So in that sense, he's an enabler.
Or if he didn't say it was okay, he's just turning a blind eye to it. And,
yeah,
letting it continue to happen and not speaking up about it. So yeah, I get that. I can get that. But we also gotta, like you said, you gotta give Seth Rogen a chance to let him
atone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do better, atone. But I think we're in this world where we're so quick to just want to cut off everybody. I don't know whether it's because we feel like now that we've gone on the internet and owned somebody, we've gotten our 5 minutes of righteousness in our chests. Like, yes, I canceled a terrible person. I feel good for the next 5 minutes. But then that terrible person never gets a chance to become a less terrible person.
So our next top 5 is not going to be top 5 of James Franco movies, is it?
No, it's not. No, sadly.
Maybe Seth Rogen.
As a matter of fact, I only have 3. So no, I don't. I don't
Two
have
of
any.
them are Spider-Man.
Let's not. Yes. Yeah. So that's it for that story.